So then that will put that person in the position of being a visionary.
Welcome back to Abundant Culture Podcast,
where we dissect the mindsets and tactics of the true beasts of business.
People like Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and Warren Buffett.
All to create a blueprint to experience life more abundantly. Hey everybody, Joe here. Welcome back to the Abundant Culture Podcast. So glad to have you back today. We understand that as entrepreneurs and business owners that 80% of what you do probably every single day is marketing, sales, meeting with clients, things of that nature. It may be your favorite thing. I know for a fact it's definitely my favorite thing to do. But there's another 20% of our work that definitely needs to get done. And either you're doing it, you have somebody else doing it, or it's just not getting done at all. And this is the admin stuff, the emails, the back office, and one of the main things is the bookkeeping. In every single business, somebody needs to be keeping track of what comes in and what goes back out, especially in preparation of actually doing your taxes. If you don't do this, this can be an extremely costly mistake. But today we're going to be interviewing somebody who actually has the ability to help you in that area and hopefully streamline it to such a point where you don't have to worry about it. So get ready to listen to and learn from our good friend, Nancye Rivera.
So, hi, Nancye, and thank you again for coming on to the Abundant Culture Podcast. We are very excited to have you on today to talk about the bookkeeping business and a whole bunch of tips that you can give along with your spiritual journey in business as well, too. But before we jump into all that, can you explain your story, how you got into business? Why did you start?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you. It's so wonderful to meet you. And I love the title of your podcast because it is truly all about abundance that we can have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was an accountant in corporate America for 15 years and quite an exciting journey for a Latina. And I also studied on my MBA in accounting. And so what I discovered, though, was that a lot of what you learn in school is not really what's happening in corporate America. I did start out at a very small CPA firm, so our businesses were a lot of small businesses, which I just loved because there was a big variety. And so then in 2016, I had the awesome opportunity to reinvent myself. I found myself out of corporate America. I did not want to go back. So when I reviewed my career, which was accounting, marketing, and then ministry was always in the background, especially media ministry, Christian radio and TV. So then I have a coach, and her pitch is always do what you love to do, and that will make you money fast. And so then I thought, well, I love crunching numbers. I do. And so then I started the bookkeeping business. I strategically chose bookkeeping versus accounting because accountants have a reputation of being rude and dry.
Yeah.
They do. They're boring people. And so that's not what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to really serve my clientele, which are startups and small businesses. Now, small businesses is anywhere from 3 to 5 million and under, which for some people, they would think, no, that's a big business. No, in the whole scheme of things, a $5 million business is still small.
Yeah.
And so 88% of our economy in this great country, which I do love, 88% of our economy are small businesses. And this 88% provides 90% of the employment. And so the statistics probably change from day to day, so they're not exact, but they're definitely in that ballpark. So 88% of our economy, small businesses, and they're providing 90% of employment opportunities.
Excellent.
So the business offers full service bookkeeping. We also provide financial statements, and then we also have tax preparation because my business is a nexus of myself and my team, and then my CPA associates, my attorney associates, my insurance associates, and then even human resources and franchise associates. And so that my business is a one-stop shop for my clients. Because if you are a small business owner, you're trying to build your business, you can't do it all.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
You will get burnt out. And so what a lot of small businesses have done is that they've created a job for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're the boss, but they're working 12 to 16 hours per day.
Yeah.
So really, it's just a bigger job. So the key is, really to build your team so that you can really have a flourishing business and still be happy and healthy while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
So that's why we started Plus Bookkeeping Services. That's the name of it. Plus, I love the word plus because it means to add value and advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do for my clients. I want them to have value, to have the advantage of having me on their team, and I definitely want their business to grow.
That's excellent.
Love it.
Yeah, we truly believe in what you're doing, and we just love your vision of really helping small business owners not be so burnt out handling the bookkeeping, especially if they're probably going to end up doing it wrong anyway.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to ask you, is there a difference between bookkeeping and accounting? And if so, what is that like difference, and what does that really entail for, those of us who don't know?
Yes, there is a difference. Bookkeeping is basically keeping track of daily or monthly transactions. So keeping track of the numbers coming in and the numbers going out.
Yeah.
And accounting goes a step further where they are they want to deal with the financial statements. Mm-hmm. So that takes it a level up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the financial statements. And then so most accountants don't want to deal with the nitty-gritty of keeping track or reconciling bank statements or updating your check registers, those tracking components, which are so important. They need it. Yeah. Most accountants have bookkeepers on their team. So that's how the relationship is there. They have bookkeepers, the accountants look at the final output, which is financial statements, the cash flow statement, the profit and loss statement, and the balance sheet.
Yeah.
And those financials are really critical, especially at year end, but throughout, depending on the program that you're using, you can generate those reports, with the touch of one key. So awesome. Now, my favorite is the cash flow statement because it is exactly what it's saying. You're following the flow of your cash.
Yeah.
The cash coming in, where are the different sources of where it's coming in, and then where it's going. Mm-hmm. And then I like for my clients to really look at this report because it's real easy. The other reports can be a little bit like, well, what is this? What does it mean?
Yeah.
But when you're tracking your cash coming in and going out, that's easy. Okay, it came in from so-and-so.
Yeah.
Bank account. And then it went out to all these different vendors. Mm-hmm. And so that's the biggest difference. And then my passion with the cash flow statement is that when my clients see it, they're usually pretty surprised because all of a sudden they have a picture. And they go, oh my God, all my money is going to my payroll, which most of it does.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, it's all on rent. And so then when they see that, then they can make decisions because they will also see the bottom line. They will see total income minus total expenses. Do they have a profit or do they have a loss?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so then it's a terrific planning tool. Like I had one client when she saw that all of her or the most of her income was going to rent, she rented a new venue where now she's saving about almost $800 per month.
Oh, that's nice.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Significant. One of my other clients saw that most of his money was going to payroll. So then what he decided to do was, which was really smart, and he made the decision himself. These were decisions that they made once they saw the numbers. And then he decided to work with, he's an electrician, so he has a team maybe of 4 electricians. So then he decided to really concentrate on one young man that he has. He says, well, let's give him more work and even $1 per hour raise, and eliminate a couple other guys that require more of my time. Yeah. And so then he started to fine tune his team.
Yeah.
That's
so then
nice.
now he has a smaller team, but they are more qualified. So they work faster. And so then to keep them happy, also so all of the money that he now saved, he gave them each $1 raise, which he doesn't do every day. So, but last year he did this. They're happy, and now his team is getting more and more solid. When I look at his payroll, it's pretty much the same guys. And he made that decision once he saw, wow, all my money's going to payroll.
That's excellent.
That's good. He basically consolidated, like kind of how people consolidate credit cards. So that was smart.
Very smart.
So what is the importance of spirituality, like in your life and in your business?
Well, my faith governs every area of my life. From the minute I wake up to the minute I fall asleep, and probably while I'm sleeping too.
Yep.
That's when the angels go to work,
Yeah.
But they're working 24/7. But I'm also a professor at the Hispanic Bible School, where I teach administration, which does include a little bit of accounting. But administration covers leadership, the financials. It covers a whole range of different functions that you have to have in your life, in your ministry, in your business, if you work. So administration, I remember I knew I had the ability of administration, but when I discovered that it's a gift, it's in the Bible. When I discovered that it was a gift, I really began to appreciate it a lot more. Before I used to think, I have the ability. There's a difference between ability and the gift. So, yes, I'm organized and, good with detail. But when I saw that it was a gift from God, I started to respect it a lot more. And so, like I said, I'm a professor at the Hispanic Bible School. I teach administration. I've taught computers there once. I taught homiletics, which was my favorite class. But I'm kind of like the resident administration professor. So, awesome. So that's really important to me. And then when it comes to my clients, my spirituality, my faith oozes out of me. I don't have to tell people, hey, I'm a born again Christian. I'm going to operate my business ethically. It comes out. People will hear it in the words that you use, in the tone of voice. When you're listening, when you're having a meeting with them, they will notice that you are different, that you're not just out to make money and that you don't care about what happens to them. Absolutely. So it comes out, 24/7. Also, when you really care about your clients, when you want them to grow, they will also sense that from you. And then the way you ask questions. Absolutely. Asking questions is critical in every area of your life. Asking questions, because you can ask questions with a tone like, well, why did you do that? Just that tone and that word is going to put people on the defensive, Whereas if you ask a question like, well, why did you make that choice versus this choice? Then now you got them thinking, because they may have not seen that there was another choice. Now you're opening up their thinking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all of that comes into, your values and your practices,
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I did let one client go. And of course, it was at that time, it was a little bit painful because I didn't have that many clients,
Yeah.
So as a business owner, making that decision, well, I'm going to let you go. I don't want to work with you.
Mhm.
And so the reason I let him go was because he would come everything at the very last minute. So, for example, S corporation tax returns are due March 15th. He would come the morning of March 15th. When I had been asking him for this data for months, for 6 months, I had been asking him for that.
Mhm.
And so at the end, I ended up telling him that I was going to terminate our relationship because our values and our practices did not align.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then it was not good for me, and it was not good for him either. So using those words, knowing your values and your practices, is a reason to terminate a relationship. Another relationship, I didn't terminate this relationship, but I didn't accept the project.
Mhm.
And the reason I did not accept the project was because of the way the woman was speaking to me.
Mm.
She, in her eyes, I was just a clerk. And then she really attempted to shave my hourly rate quite a bit. And
Wow.
so so then I saw her values and her practices. So it wasn't even a matter of giving it much thought. It was like, no, I'm not going to work with you. Another thing, that's kind of funny in a way, but bottom line, I didn't like her. I didn't like her,
Oh.
I didn't like her tone. I didn't like her values. I didn't like her practices. So it was not going to be good. If that happens at the onset, you can be pretty sure that it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, if you let somebody hit you, physically punch you, and you don't do anything about it the first time, there's a pretty good chance that a second punch is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen again. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I like to ethics are really, really important.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm working toward my doctorate of ministry at North Park Theological Seminary. I only take one class per year because at this level, the one course will just consume you.
Mhm.
Because they really stretch your mental capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Christian ethics right now. And
Awesome.
it's amazing. When I registered for the class, I thought, Christian ethics, okay, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
And that's good. That's good. But I'm learning the depth of ethics, and my whole thinking is being expanded. So at the end of the day, you have to practice ethics if things are going to go well with you. You have to be ethical.
Sure.
It's a personal thing, but it's also a benefit for your clients.
Yeah.
And so with Christian ethics, that means that we behave morally correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it seems like your ministry and your business really almost are really fluid with each other, as in like there's really no distinction between, I'm doing ministry here and I'm doing business here, that you kind of doing both together like all the time, right?
Exactly. And that's such an excellent point that you bring up, because I have worked really hard, and I would say in this past year, I've worked really hard to have one life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As opposed to having a work life and then a spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I've worked really hard at that this year, and I'm getting to the point, I think, where everything is one, where everything, like you said, it flows together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes for a richer life.
Absolutely.
There will be times when the world, people or situations will try and separate the two. Mm-hmm. And so I've decided, though, you know what I called it? I called it the end of schizophrenia.
Really?
I mean, recently, because I even on social media, I even voiced it to my social media intern. I said, no more social media schizophrenia. It's all one,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So, definitely. And it makes for a richer life, believe me. It'll change the way you think, the way you feel. You'll be more solid. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I could just imagine like how good that feels. Because we've only been in business for like 2 years. So like we are trying to implement making everything into one life. But since we're so new to it, it's still like the super early phases of making everything into one life. So I really like that you worded it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. It'll happen with you aligning. You have to align things.
Yeah.
You have to, align the way you speak, the words you use, the platform you use. Yeah, it's a matter of all alignment. Yeah. And if you can just imagine, those electrical lines, when you see those lines, so something can happen and all of a sudden, you may want to feel like you're upset. So one of the lines is going to go way up.
Yeah.
Bring it down, so that the two can flow together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess that kind of brings us to our next question, which is, what are some common mistakes that you see a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs make in regards to running their business, both from just a, traditional business standpoint, but also from maybe a bookkeeping standpoint? Like, what are those common mistakes that you see and that you try to help people with?
Right. One of the biggest mistakes, and I do help my clients with this, is that they're operating under the wrong entity. They're operating as sole proprietors. And so sole proprietors, we all have different tax brackets in this country.
Yeah.
So if you're a sole proprietor, you're in the highest paying tax bracket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so, for example, if you have an LLC or if you have an S Corp, so you have to know what is the proper entity for your business and choose one from the onset. Because like I said, sole proprietors are the highest paying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you hear a lot of people say, well, the rich evade taxes. It isn't that they evade taxes. And I'm going to change that. It isn't that we evade taxes.
Yeah.
It's just that we know, and we work with professionals who know what are the proper entities. Mm-hmm. So you got to know the different tax brackets, your tax deductions. A lot of people, that's another thing. A lot of people don't take deductions that they can take. Mm-hmm. So first of all, entities, not knowing the taxes, the tax situation. The other big mistake that small businesses make is they created a job for themselves as opposed to a business.
Absolutely.
So the example that I gave was that now so we'll use the example of a little storefront, okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now you have a storefront, you're the boss, but you're the one who opens up the shops, who places the orders, who opens the boxes and places the products on the shelves. Yep. You're the one who breaks down the boxes, takes it to the garbage. You're the one who operates the cashier, that mops and sweeps. You're doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
So so now you're working 12, 16 hours per day. So another thing you have to do when you have a business is you have to build your team. So with the example of the storefront, he has to hire a cashier. Mm-hmm. He has to hire somebody to stock the shelves and sweep and mop.
Mm-hmm.
So that he needs a bookkeeper. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
He needs somebody to keep track of the sales. Mm-hmm. and to reconcile his bank account. Mm-hmm. By having that, and that's a small team right there. That's only 3 people on his team.
Yeah.
And then, he may have to have 2 of each of those, depending on the size of his store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then that will put that person in the position of being a visionary. That person will now be able to see, hey, I should order more of that because my customers are buying a lot of that product.
Yeah.
This product is not moving. So I'm gonna either put it on sale at a very discounted price just to get it out of my shop and then not order it again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now he can see. But if he's busy sweeping the floor, he's not going to be able to see that when it kind of dawns on him or her that this is happening. They're going to be so tired that they're going to think, wow, that's not, they're just not, their thoughts are going to be jumbled.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to think clearly, which the word visionary means that you have a vision. So having a vision means that it has to be clear.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You can have a vision and say, I want this. So you see the end picture. But because there's so much going on, when you look through that telescope, your vision scope,
yeah,
there's too much right here, so that when you see the end, it's kind of like, well, how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, and I know I used to be famous for this attitude, was that it's just faster if I do it myself. And I understand that. But what I discovered was that I was cheating somebody of the opportunity to learn. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then, and hiring people, because that's another area of big challenge is personnel. Yeah. Hiring people, bringing them on board, paying them, making sure that they're doing the right thing, evaluating them, giving them promotions. That's a whole nother ball game,
Yeah.
The bottom line was that I learned that I was cheating somebody of the opportunity to learn something if I was going to do it all myself.
Yeah.
So my team consists of, I've been so blessed with interns. The young people of today, when they graduate, to get an entry-level job, it'll say 2 to 3 years of experience. Well, how are they going to get that experience if they're in college?
Yeah.
They don't have any other choice but interns. You know? And I've been so blessed because this past year I had three interns. One student was from Loyola, and he lives in Spain.
Oh, that's really cool.
When he finished his schooling here, because they have Loyola in Spain, so the Loyola in Spain sends their students here for a year, in the business school anyway.
Okay.
So then, and look at this blessing. When he left, he introduced me to his girlfriend, who's a finance major, honor student, and has another year and a half before she graduates. So it's worth a year and a half of an intern.
Nice. That's excellent.
Highly qualified intern. I mean, she does my database management, my marketing, and then I taught her how to reconcile bank accounts. I taught her how to fill in the data for the cash flow statement. Mm-hmm. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
to teach her. And then I'm blessed because she caught on real quick because she's a finance major.
Yeah.
So that was one example. So then that intern, the former intern, went back to Spain. I had another intern that I worked with for just a couple of days because she was waiting. Do you remember when we had the government shutdown?
Yeah. That was crazy.
So her internship was shut down. So while her internship was shut down, she worked with me and an accounting major. So I taught her the same thing, how to reconcile, how to post to the cash flow statement. And then in May, she graduated. During the summer, she was studying for her CPA exam, which, by the way, she passed all 4 parts, which is amazing. And then she was going to start, she already had a full-time job waiting. So she was going to start her full-time job on October 7th, just last week.
Nice.
So then during that time, though, she was still doing my social media from a distance and doing quality work. So she's already scheduled my email campaigns all the way through January. They're scheduled on the day that they're going to launch.
Wow.
So
that's great.
So now she does have a full-time job, and I know what it's like to have a full-time job straight out of college. It's going to really take a lot of your brain time. So I had her teach my new intern how to, and I pay my interns, and I don't pay them, I pay them more than minimum wage.
Awesome.
And I think that that really inspires them. It's ethical, right?
Yeah.
And so they were worthwhile to.
Absolutely.
But again, part of the hiring process. So I'm hoping I will probably always have an intern just because it's a blessing for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a blessing for me. But then next year, I'm as the business is growing, I'm already started scoping for like a part-time bookkeeper.
Nice.
So that to grow my team. So ideally, a part-time bookkeeper, an intern, and then I can focus on being the visionary, growing the business.
Absolutely.
Presenting workshops. A part of my business is being a financial coach. So coaching my clients. Exactly what I'm doing with my business, they need to do with their business. Marketing and sales. And it's all about growing. But there's certain things that you have to do. It's not a hope and a prayer won't do it.
Yeah. Definitely.
That works. That's good.
Yeah.
That should be the foundation of it.
Right.
But let's see, the formula for a successful business is 80% sales and marketing and 20% operations. So the visionary, the owner, really needs to keep that pipeline full of new clients.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
So can you give us 3 financial / bookkeeping tips that people can start implementing today?
Yes. Number 1, Number 1, get the right entity.
Yep. I'm gonna write this down.
2, get a business bank account because commingling personal and business, number 1, is against the law. And it's just not good. So get the right entity, get a bank account, and keep track of your finances. And so if you're going to do it yourself, fine, get the right program, but you need somebody to keep track of your finances if your business is going to grow. So that you can really be an entrepreneur. So did I give you 3? The correct entity, the bank account, and a bookkeeper, a team.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. And
so for the software that people use, do you use QuickBooks or do you use like another software that you'd recommend?
I do. I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor, QuickBooks Online. Okay. Because there is a difference between QuickBooks Desktop. They have more than one subscription. They have subscription for not-for-profits, self-employed. So you have to know what is the right subscription for you.
Mhm.
So yes, I do use QuickBooks Online. We use Excel quite a bit.
Okay.
We
Nice.
use Excel quite a bit. Yeah, Excel is because with QuickBooks you're going to be paying a monthly subscription.
Right.
Excel is free.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So those are the two that I use, Excel and QuickBooks Online. Because if
Okay.
you are using QuickBooks Desktop, that means you're going to have to go to that person's office
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
it's limited to their computer.
Yeah.
Where QuickBooks Online, it's on a cloud.
Mhm.
I can access somebody's books and still be on the beach in Costa Rica. There's
Nice.
no loss of time or loss of work.
Mhm.
know,
Absolutely.
That's another thing that I love about this business is that it's technology driven.
Yeah.
And bookkeeping is one of the fastest growing industries. So having said that, one thing that is so critical for every business owner is that you must master your business.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a bookkeeper, I have to stay on top of the bookkeeping industry.
Mhm.
Yep.
If I'm going to be, selling food, I have to be on. Every business is competitive,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you have to master your business. You have to stay focused, and you have to master your business. Those two are another 2 tips.
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate those tips because
Yes.
it's a lot of times it's the simple things that, entrepreneurs kind of look over and end up procrastinating on, and then they don't do it, and then they do it, and then they do it wrong. So it could really be this domino effect. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something very important that you just said is the domino effect.
Yeah.
Because doing it wrong, all those dominoes are falling. So you're going to have to catch up. Once they start falling, you're going to have to be quick
Yeah.
to remedy that effect. That's a very good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
So for someone that wants to start a bookkeeping business, you already touched on the fact that they have to master their craft. But what are some other things? What is kind of the first step towards getting them into the bookkeeping career?
Depending on their educational background, I would recommend that they have at least, 1 or 2 accounting classes
Mm-hmm.
so that they understand, the difference between a debit and a credit.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, that's part of the foundation of knowing how to track your. And then today, we have so many online schools,
Yeah.
junior colleges. I'm not saying that they need to get a bachelor's or a master's in accounting, although I'm very pro education. I am.
Yeah.
But definitely some basic accounting they would need. And then they would need to know the technologies.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good.
So what is the number one takeaway you would like for somebody to get from this podcast? Maybe they're just an entrepreneur, or maybe they are actually looking to become a bookkeeper or hire a bookkeeper. What is that number one takeaway that you would like for them to get?
Well, okay, you said 2 things, the entrepreneur and then a bookkeeper. So I'll address both of them.
Okay.
I made notes. So okay. If the person is an entrepreneur, they definitely need to build their team. And on that team, they need a financial person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because if they're not keeping track of the money coming in and going out, they may have to close their doors tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to be able to see how they can grow.
Yeah.
If someone wants to be a bookkeeper, definitely take an accounting 101 or a bookkeeping class. You need the basic knowledge of the debits and credits.
Yeah.
Definitely need that. But the advantage for both of them, the entrepreneurs, is that we live in a country where you can set up a business overnight. You can set up an online business. there's opportunities galore.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then so one of those opportunities is a bookkeeping business.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're on the Abundant Culture podcast, and we have to ask every guest this question. So how do you spread abundance?
First of all, by the words you speak. By making sure that you're speaking words that edify people, that help them, that help them, especially words that help them expand their thinking. Yeah. Some people say that we only use like 10% of our brain. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
I think it's only 2%.
Yeah, I could definitely say that for some people.
Right.
So thinking takes time. You actually have to set apart time for thinking. And especially in that thinking time, if you're meditating on God's word, you're already way ahead of the game, because he's already laid out everything that will make you a great thinker.
Yeah.
So the first way to spread abundance is the words you speak, and then teaching people. Helping and teaching is different. For example, I can give you a loaf of bread because you're hungry. Okay?
Yeah.
But how about if I teach you how to make bread?
Yeah.
Then you can feed yourself and then teach others.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a difference between helping and teaching. So I would say the words you speak, and then to teach other people how to fend for themselves. Yeah. Because that'll start a good domino effect.
Absolutely.
I teach you, you teach others, and it'll be a really good domino effect. Then the other way of abundance is to give, and not only to give money, but you can give of your time.
Yeah.
Just spending time with somebody. You can also give when we go into our closets, there's a lot of things there that we can give away. There's a lot of seed right in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
We can give away books, DVDs and CDs.
Absolutely.
Especially time. I have family in New York, so spending time with them, a text in the morning.
Yeah.
A FaceTime, once a month or however. All of that is time. So the words you speak, teaching others, giving people time, and giving away money, and then all the different articles that we have in our home. And then while we're doing all of that, all of those different ways of giving, you're also setting an example.
Yeah.
And it's an investment. Because if I speak words of kindness to you, those words will come back to me.
Yeah.
If I teach you how to do something, somebody is going to teach me something that I don't know.
Yeah.
If I give away money, money's going to come back. Yay.
Right. Yes.
In fact, there's 4 ways of giving in the Bible. You give tithe, you give offerings, you give first fruits, and you give alms. All of those 4 ways have a different recompense. And God's financial system is very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you give time to people, there's going to come a day when you're going to want somebody to just listen to you too.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you give away articles, when you give away shoes that you don't wear anymore just because, you're the shoes that I used to wear, the style, it may just not fit me anymore, but they fit somebody else. Yeah. So that as I'm growing, my style is going to be changing, so that I may go to the store and find a style that I like that's on a 50% sale. I think that's a pretty good return on my investment.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, abundance is a good deal.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I like everything you said too, because we're just really big on giving, especially as entrepreneurs. We just feel like it's entrepreneurs and Christians. We believe that it's really our obligation to make sure that we're always sowing seeds in the people, because you really can't reap a harvest if you didn't sow anything. And teaching other people how to sow instead of, I believe in giving to people, but also that point you made about teaching is even better, because you're teaching them how to sow. So you're just creating a more really abundant environment. So I truly liked that piece of information that you gave us. And I know there's somebody that's going to be listening to this podcast, and they're going to either want to get more business advice from you because you're extremely business savvy, or they're going to want to maybe talk to you about bookkeeping, and because maybe they need one and they haven't hired one yet. What is the best way for somebody to actually reach you after listening to this podcast?
Okay. Before I go to that, though, I want to share another key with you. And
that is definitely.
Not only giving, but receiving. A lot of people have a hard time receiving. Yeah. And that not only includes physical things, but even receiving love.
Yeah.
So receiving is probably another podcast.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Because I didn't think about that one. I was like, yeah, that, you, in order to like really give to somebody, they have to kind of receive it as well. So yeah.
Exactly. And then, to be expecting, give with a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. But thank you so much. The best way to contact me is telephone is 773-230-3514. Easy way to remember that is the famous area code 773, and then 230-3514. Another good way is through my website, which is plus bookkeeping services, plural, services.com. Or through email. My first name is Nancye, Nancye as in Edward, at plusbookkeepingservices.com. So that's 3 different ways. You can also find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Once again, using Plus Bookkeeping Services, you'll find me on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yep. And it'll all be in the show notes.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
So this was great. Now people, they can have a better understanding of like how they should set a foundation for just their business in general.
Yeah.
And then like all the great tips you gave for the finance and bookkeeping, this was excellent.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on to the Abundant Culture Podcast.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate the work you're doing as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that's all we have for today, folks. I hope you got as much value out of this as we did. Keep in mind, the only way we can improve is through constructive feedback. So remember to rate and review this episode. Also, you are not the only person that needs to know this super valuable information. So be sure to subscribe and share as well. Stay tuned for the next episode. And remember to always spread abundance. Peace.